Welcome to PhD with Women on It, Hack the Future. My name is Ata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hack delivered will be by our guest, Andy Gwynn. Topic: how to make your profile stand out on LinkedIn. Episode 67 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart at hustle because empathy is my motto, and empathy is critical when you're making your profile stand out on LinkedIn. I would like to congratulate, first of all, to Vladlena Dufresne, who is always on the go. Her startup Rogo is currently onboarding real lenders. Way to go, Vladlena and Rogo. Well done, Katerina Passariello, for a great lineup of speakers at CETA Business Forum on 22nd to 23rd of June 2022. Excited to learn from these brilliant women who are forming the panel of international trade women: Susan Baca, Michela Bieriezi, Tamajka Jumel, Michelle Fenech-Seguna. Amazing news with the Cannes Lions International Festival of Creativity attendance for having the opportunity to learn from one of the best speakers in the world, in the universe, and especially in the sex tech world, Cindy Gallop. She is going to tell you all about how to design your own advertising industry on Monday, 20th of June at 11:30 a.m. Join that live stream. In today's episode, we are going to learn how to make your profile stand out on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great place to network, find jobs, and learn more about the people who are in your industry. But if you're like most people, your profile probably looks pretty similar to everyone else out there. And that can make it hard to stand out from the crowd. Your profile is one of the most important parts of your professional identity. It's where prospective employers and clients go to learn about who you are and why they should hire or work with you. And if you're not taking advantage of all the features of LinkedIn offers its users, then your competition is getting an edge over you. For this PhD, we are joined by the most sought after LinkedIn trainers and coaches in the UK, Andy Gwynn. He is a leading business coach, speaker, and author. He has helped hundreds of businesses to generate more sales through their use of LinkedIn and has coached hundreds of business owners and corporate directors to greater profitability and more free time and successful relationships across their business and personal lives. And these flagship keynote presentations are mainly focused on using LinkedIn platform to leverage business and career opportunities. He has helped hundreds of businesses to generate sales, and he's gonna help us, women on IT, how to get noticed. Andy, let's start with a simple question. Where in the world are you today?
Great question, Barta. I am actually in southern Spain. My profile says the UK. A lot of my business is still in the UK. We took residency just before Brexit. COVID prompted us to do it. So although I do a lot of work around the world, I now live and work predominantly from southern Spain, just northeastern Malaga.
And I've heard it's 34 degrees today with you. It's more or less similar weather to Malta, where I am speaking from, beautiful Valletta. Andy, we know that there are certain features on LinkedIn that people overlook. But let's start with the basic question. How do you set up your profile if you don't have experience? Because there are so many people who just start a career and they have no experience and they want to get noticed. Let's start with these people who only start their career.
Okay. And I think perhaps to do that, let's just take it back a little step, because you mentioned LinkedIn. just to give people some context, because I think before that, if you're not on LinkedIn, you ought to understand why you should be on LinkedIn. And my understanding was LinkedIn was created in 2003 by, I think, 5 guys who got together and said, let's just share our network of professional contacts on this platform. Now we've done that, let's invite them to do the same. So there's all sorts of, I don't know, misconceptions, opinions about LinkedIn. What you can do with it now, nearly 20 years later, certainly 19, because it was the same year that I set up my business. I left employment and set up my business as a business coach. So 19 years ago. What it can do now is completely morphed from what it was. So back then, people sort of presumed that it was just a CV. It never was, and certainly never is. LinkedIn was all about a networking platform for people to engage with their professional networks. Now, recruitment and jobs is something like, if we Google it, about 60% of LinkedIn's revenue. So that is still very powerful if people are working and they're looking for career change or jobs or engagement. I do believe everyone should be on LinkedIn, because what's happening now, no matter how you're engaging with someone, people are likely to check you out on LinkedIn. I do a lot of work with business owners and sales teams. And if you're approaching someone, if you Google my name, one of the first things that should come up is probably my LinkedIn profile. So if you're not on it, you're missing opportunities to be found. And so that's why you need to be on it. Secondly, if you're on it, how do you make it work effectively, like you've said? And I think there are 2 parts to LinkedIn. One is absolutely what you said, Barter, is your personal profile. It's a personal profile. And that needs to do 3 things. It needs to get found. It needs to give value to the reader, what you can do with them, how you want to engage with them and work with them. And it needs to prove your credibility. And I think that's vital now, because we are in such a noisy world. If you've heard of the principle of the 6 degrees of separation, that says we are no more than 6 people away from anybody in the world, Google says with LinkedIn especially, it's probably nearer 3 steps from anybody. So what can you do? I know we're going to give you a link to some free resources I've got. I've got a document called the 9 Steps to Creating a Profile. I think the easy way to look at this is LinkedIn is quite user-friendly. LinkedIn is very deep. There's lots you can do with it, but we're talking about your profile. By the way, the second step is your strategy. What do you do to find, connect, and engage with your ideal connection, whatever connection that might be? So I think the easy answer would be populate as many of the boxes, as many of the sections within LinkedIn as you can. And to give you an idea, I think there's 3 that are most important, or 4. First is your photo. It needs to represent you. I see some horrendous stuff out there. Let's keep it simple, head and shoulders shot on a plain background. I think the overriding thing, I don't care whether you're employed or you're looking for work or you just want to engage, certainly in business, we need to learn to sell and market ourselves. So this is about giving value to the reader and telling people how you can help them, how you want to engage with them, who you want to engage with, how you want to work with them. So your profile shot needs to be as people would expect to see you. Now, there's so many advantages of it, because most people now, if I'm speaking with anyone, I'm looking at them on LinkedIn, so I can see their profile photo. So by the time Barter and I first came to speak, I sort of recognized her, and with a photo there's far more rapport and engagement. So it works on so many levels. The next step is your headline underneath. It needs to say what you do for people. It could be as simple as I'm looking for a job in widget manufacturers. It's not just a title. And underneath the headline, then the next key section is your about section. And your about section is really, it's not the CV, it's really your landing page. That's where you want to talk about how you help people, not me. Talk about the reader you want to attract. And you can edit this. If you're looking for a job 1 month, you can edit it. And then if you've got the job and you're looking to help promote the business within, you can edit it. So you need to talk about who you want to engage with, how you help them, how you work with them. And then the other key section is your experience section. And this is the one where people just take it as a CV. No, it isn't. It's where you need to expand on that. And so the simple answer is, have a look at those, fill in the sections. You can't go wrong as long as you're not political or religious and you're talking about what you can do with people. Easy thing is jump into some of our free Facebook groups, get some of the downloads, and just learn how to write it from a marketing perspective, and then populate as many of the other areas as relevant as you can.
So let's face it, there are many also stagnant profiles. There are many profiles that are solely to sell you something. And you told us what to do. Can you tell us the 3 biggest mistakes that people do that you should not do on LinkedIn?
As far as activity, or as about crafting their profile, or both?
Oh, both, yes.
Okay, both. I think some of the mistakes on the profile is not putting a profile photo up there. I know businesses and people that won't engage with you. They're wondering what you're hiding. So I go back to that profile photo. Don't have a picture of you dressed casually. Don't have you with your bridesmaid, because I don't know which one you are. Don't have one at a distance. Make it head and shoulders. And you're right. The big mistake people make is they create a personal profile, but that looks like a business that might have a logo. There's a company page for that if you're promoting a business, but still for most non-corporate businesses, it's the individual that's engaging. I don't care whether you're the MD or a salesperson. So certainly the profile. And then I think not populating it. If you don't populate your profile and talk about your past experiences, I saw someone the other day, it was just their latest role for the last year. And I thought, well, what have you done for the last 20 years? Remember, your profile has to get found. So when you edit it, that will happen. And by the way, use words in the descriptions that people might search for, that you want to be found for. It's got to give value to the reader, and it's got to prove your credibility. We are in a massive global bombarded environment. You've got to prove your credibility. Why should I read your profile? Why should I talk to you? Why should I invite you for interview? Why should I buy from you? So I think that's one of the biggest things for the profile. Strategy wise, people the biggest mistake is they just message you and try and sell to you. Your strategy is all about how you find, connect, and engage in the right way. And that has really changed since COVID, because there's been massive spike of usage. And I know, Barty, you've got some statistics about the number of users, but a lot weren't necessarily active. That has massively jumped since COVID. And the negative flip side of that is people are being bombarded by poor messages and engagement. And I come back to this default setting of learn how to market yourself or engage with people. You wouldn't just walk up to someone at a networking event and shove a business card in their hand, although I've had people do that to me. You would engage with them, and that's what you're looking to do in your LinkedIn strategy. So you can't just connect with someone and then hit them with sales messages.
And if you don't know how to engage, I encourage you to check out Kelly Howie's Networking Like a Pro live stream. Last year we hosted her, and she is explaining how to network during COVID and beyond. So you told us about what not to do, and you told us about the awful experience, and I would like to see a sea of hands of those people who are watching us tonight and who have been approached by these sellers. Maybe you remember some story. Share with us, make a comment, be part of the conversation, or ask a question to our expert. Andy is here to help you. So, Andy, I've got a question about activity on LinkedIn, because there are several ways you can become active to help these algorithms of LinkedIn to get you noticed and promote you and get you the visibility you want. What would you advise is the best strategy for posting or for writing articles?
Okay, great question. Because before a couple of years ago, I would have said I don't put a lot of value on posts, because I'm not seeing many people get to see my posts, and then I'm not getting a response. And that's two-pronged as well. And the latter is my content wasn't engaging, and we've learned so much over the last few years on how to write content that works. But before that, LinkedIn, you are absolutely right, has an algorithm. there's two sides to LinkedIn. I said profile and strategy. There's two sides within the strategy. One is posting content like you would anywhere else. The other one is the direct engagement. And that's where LinkedIn is really powerful. And it is for both. But this is where I started using LinkedIn really intensively 12 years ago. And I've started teaching and consulting with people for over 12 years on it. How to find someone, connect with them, message them, get an engagement. Think about this. You're absolutely right. And go visit that lady's podcast about networking, because one way to look at LinkedIn is it's just networking online. Your outcome is the same. I'm looking to get the conversation offline as quickly as possible. Probably want to talk to the prospect or the employer. Now, you might have a business where you want to point people to your website and your online stuff. You're looking still to get it off LinkedIn as quickly as possible. Same with posting, really. I meet people say, well, I just want to get my brand and name out there. What for? There's a reason for that. What's the underlying reason? Is I want people to talk to me, or I want people to go to my website. So with posting, if you think of this, LinkedIn wants good content because it wants people to stay on there and read it. Then they can sell advertising and ads, and same with all the other platforms. But how do they determine what is good content? And because it's all algorithmic based. So roughly, when you post, if first of all, LinkedIn pushes your post out to about 10% of your connections. And one big thing we haven't said is you want to be building your connections for life. My middle nephew, when he was 23, found a job in China through people he was connected with on LinkedIn. We know that our network equals our net worth. It's as much who we know as what we know. Use LinkedIn to build your connections. But the algorithm will push your post out to about 10% of your connections to test it, which is small. But if it sees that you get more or less 15 likes and 15 comments on your post that you then comment back on, within 2 hours of posting, the algorithm goes, this must be good content, because Bartlett is getting engagement from her network very quickly that she's also engaging back on. We will now push this out to the rest of her network and the network of the people that have engaged. Now that's a challenge to tick that algorithm, unless you've got big networks. And we have pioneered, and in the link we give you, there's a website to the Post Party Club that explains it. You can have a look at it. It's a membership site, it's paid, but we have built the technology and the commitment from members, because it's about helping each other. And you will instantly get thousands of views of your posts. If you're not tapping that algorithm, I could get on my soapbox and say, there's probably very little point posting, because no one's seeing your stuff, let alone how good is your stuff. Now, when we launched this way before COVID, 2.5 years ago, people were going, this is awesome. We're getting thousands of views of our posts, but we're still not getting engagement. And that's because your content was poor. So within the Post Party Club membership, we've got an inordinate amount of resources on how to write content that works and everything else about LinkedIn. So, and by the way, that algorithm is only sound on your personal profile, not on your company page. And I would argue there's very little value in a company page, especially if we're small, medium-sized business owners. Your big corporates need it. The only argument I would have for having it is if you're bigger corporates, people might expect to see it. And I've had this happen once. If one of your employees builds up his connections or hers and leaves, they take their connections. So you really want all your team to inspire their connections to follow your company page, but then you've got to push content out. So for most people, unless you're in and even in big corporate, we have members who are doing this on key personnel's profiles. You want to be posting on your own personal profile. The only real reason I have a company page is because when you come to promote events, and by the way, Barta, we can talk about your future events. There is a way to publish and promote your events on LinkedIn that is just gold. And that is only sound if you set it up in the right way on your company profile. So that was a wide answer to your question. I hope that helped.
Very wide. Now you have to tell me, what's that secret sauce?
Right. When you set it up, and I've got a walkthrough video, I'll send it to you. Feel free to send it out to your network. And the reason I do that is if you set it up on your company page, there is a tick box in the setup form that says, I want, I can't remember the exact word. It's not subscriber list. And LinkedIn then gives you permission when someone clicks to attend your event, they accept that you can email them about that event. And LinkedIn allows you to download the list of attendees into your CRM system. And that is just gold, because if you speak to a Facebook specialist, mine are telling me, yeah, we can get you attendees to your webinars and your events through Facebook ads. It's about $10 an attendee. This is free. And the reason I send that out for free is because you can have it, because the people that turn around to me and say, we don't want to do it, will you manage it for me? Or we want to scale this up. I've just spoken to a guy in Phoenix, Arizona. He said, I've got a global product. I want hundreds and hundreds of attendees to my webinars, and I have some automation that allows me to do that, and I will deliver on all that for him. So I'll send you the walkthrough video. If you set it up on your personal profile, you don't have that tick box, and you miss the golden opportunity of being to upload, download the attendees into your CRM system. So you've got, cool, it's just gold on gold, isn't it?
So Andy, here is my reason for running Women on IT profile, and I'll give you a quick view over it. I set it up because even though it's not a business per se, it's a social kind of business in a way. I set it up because there is many professionals in the field of technology, and not just women, but also because we also have got males following our feed who want to connect, for example, via this live stream. So once I set up this live stream, I know that there is a community who can join us or who can just watch us, do not have to be part of the conversation, but they like to engage. And quite often, more often than not, it gets them out as well. When they make a comment on whichever platform, the algorithm also make sure that they are part of the network. They are being noticed. So for example, on Facebook, their comments are being noticed by their network. So the same applies for LinkedIn. If somebody is commenting on LinkedIn right now, that means that the network of your 22,000 followers and connections potentially might see that comment. That's how it works for me so far. And I have to tell you, another interesting facet is I started my Facebook page since the beginning of the formation. And right now I have less followers on Facebook than on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn only got started in 2020 as a page. So that shows me one thing, that it's a very much professional, objective network. People are interested in value, in information, and I try to provide them, and also opportunity to have this kind of chat. Right, Andy, I hope you would agree with me. That's a good strategy.
Yeah, I do. And I think where we are now is, and first of all, I think you've got to get clear on where your audience is. So yes, LinkedIn, fundamentally, I said it's an online networking tool. It's an online networking tool for businesses and professionals. So you're absolutely right. If I wanted to sell watches online to Joe Public, Facebook ads and Facebook might be a better route. And you're right. That's where your audience is hanging out. And what we don't know now with all the platforms, let alone all the different things on LinkedIn, I might have messaged someone, I might have posted something, they might have seen a group, they might have seen something else shared by LinkedIn about what somebody else did, like you said about clicking this link. We never know how people might see us. So here's a myth buster, because people go, oh, I don't want to bombard people. You can't, because most people won't see a lot of your stuff. In the old days, pre-social media, I would say you need to communicate to someone through direct mail, phone, website, billboards, networking, probably 7 times before they see your message. Add a 0 to that. So you can't do too much. Don't worry about bombarding people. A lot people won't see a lot of your stuff. But the flip side of that is we don't know where people see us from. I had an old client who I last spoke with, not even sold to, 8 years ago. And he said, oh, I said, what made you ring me? Or reach out, and we had a conversation. He said, I saw one of your posts. I thought, you haven't, or you might have seen, I've just done one. That's all I've done this year. Because Mary, my partner, does a lot of posting about her 90-day planning membership group, which is for any business, and not just business professionals. We've had doctors, teachers, all sorts in there. And again, there's a free Facebook group to talk about. He hadn't seen one of my things. He might have seen one of Mary's that mentioned us and the business. You don't know where people see what your stuff. So just keep putting stuff out there. Yes, learn to get better about making it the right stuff. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Bart.
So, and that reminds me the fact that I met you via online. I never met you before, and I made sure that we bring this expert to our amazing live stream today. And we've got some live question. Let's go to Olga Vasina. When it comes to interacting, is there really an angle to sell directly to strangers over time, Andy? I find LinkedIn is fabulous for existing physical connections, for making virtual connections much less valuable.
Whoa, interesting, Olga. Thank you. I think Barta alluded, she talked about my background, but I set up my own business in 2003 as a business coach. I coach business owners to grow their businesses, build and sell businesses. And I niched into LinkedIn in 2010, although I'd been on it since 2003, because I'm just passionate about sharing results with people and helping people get results. I also have I'm wired to, I want quick results, and LinkedIn's perfect for that. But I do coach people still around their perceptions, and I would urge people to keep an open mind. Two things. When I've just said to you, don't jump straight in and sell when you've connected to somebody, I had the extreme opposite. I had someone tell me they talked to another LinkedIn consultant who said, you should, once you're connected, send out 10 messages over so many months before you start to sell. And I disagree, because if you've got a product of value, which we all have, otherwise you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, why wouldn't you give your prospect an opportunity to see what it can do for them and an opportunity to buy? But it's how you pitch. So now when I connect with someone, I'll send a welcome message, a thank you message. Thanks for connecting. Here's why I connected. By the way, here's something that might be of interest. It's a free download. It's an article. It's something. Love to know your thoughts. There's a great phrase, because my follow-up message 3 days later would be, what did you think of the article I sent you? And then I'll send another, and I automate all that. If I don't hear from them after 3, then they're still in connections of mine. So you absolutely can. I have some automation that wishes people congratulations on their new role, and that's so underutilized. When you change your profile, if you've got your settings to allow it, LinkedIn will push a notification out to your network saying, hey, you've updated your job or your role. So my automation goes, congratulations on the new role. I'm sure you're busy settling in, but as and when you might be interested in looking at how you can get more business out of LinkedIn, or you want to join an awesomely powerful network predominantly for women, happy to talk about X. I have written business that way and get business inbound. Now, you're right, Olga. I used to lead with, we need new connections and we need to be looking for prospects and we need to be engaging. This is for business. Granted, if you're looking for a job, you're going to connect with people and position it in a different way. Parallel now, what I've seen in the last year, so many of my clients have got conversations, engagement and business from people they've been connected with for years. And they said, I'd never have thought of messaging them or engaging them, and I've never got the time. Your average CEO has about 1,000 connections. Barta said, I've got 22,000. There's plenty of people out there with 2, 5, 7,000 connections. You can't engage with them all like that. And because I'm messaging them automatically for my clients, they've said, we've had someone respond inbound that we've never engaged with, and we've written business. So both, I would say to you, Olga, an and mentality. I would say, excuse me just a second. Hey, there's a thing. I mentioned my nephew getting a job in China. He's just trying to WhatsApp me. I would say an and mentality. Yeah, absolutely engage with people you know, but never say never to connecting with new people and engaging in the right way. And as your connections grow, keep engaging with them. I've got the most incredible story where there was a guy before LinkedIn. There was a thing in the UK called Academy, created by a phenomenal entrepreneur called Thomas Power. And I've been connected with him for a long time, 15 years longer. I used to know his MD. I used to belong to Academy. LinkedIn killed his business, and LinkedIn's top guys still keep an eye on him. My automation sent him a congratulations on his new role. and I got a message in, this was a few years ago, saying, "Are you having a laugh?" And when I looked into it, he changed his profile to add a new charity he was involved with. So it wasn't a new role, it was. But so I messaged him back and said, "This is what's happened. By the way, you've got 30,000 connections. How do you engage with them? You want to look at what we're doing?" My desk phone rang. Nobody rang me on my desk phone. It was a landline. 5 minutes later, and we spoke. We've been doing business ever since for 3 or 4 years. So never say never. I would say an and mentality rather than an either or mentality, because both it works, but don't drop the other one off for it. You are welcome, Olga. I hope that will have answered a lot of other people's thoughts as well. So thank you for the question, Olga.
Thank you, Olga. We have another question from In Love and in Pain. Hi, Andy. Should we connect with our friends from 10 plus years ago?
That's an easy question to answer. Do you want to? Again, I have two ways of looking at this, because I will connect with anyone, because I automate what I do because of the volume and the consistency. It's either all or nothing. I will accept every inbound invite to connect. Now, people say to me, "Oh, but they're not relevant to my life or my business. You know, a web designer in India isn't relative to me doing whatever in the UK." No, but that guy has 5,000 connections that you can then find in future searches. So the more connections I have, the more second tier. If I've just said to you, your average CEO has about 1,000 connections, if each of those have 1,000 connections, you have a million second tier connections. I only want to connect with second tier, not third or fourth, because I can connect with them and say, "Hey, I noticed we share some great mutual connections, thought we could connect." So I'm always connecting with people. Anyone who views my profile, I connect. Why not? We're probably connected with them on Facebook. It depends what they're using. Do you want to connect with them? I mean, if it's a friend from 10 years ago, then yeah, I would say why not? Because you then get access to their connections directly or indirectly. And you might find the reality is how many people are active on LinkedIn. My brother is a big commercial property lawyer for a big PLC in the UK. He's on there, but he doesn't use it. And at COVID, he said to me, "I am being bombarded with connection invites and poor messages. I'm thinking of coming off LinkedIn." And I said, "Don't. You don't have to answer their messages. Just ignore them." But you want to build your network. It's a life skill. It's a valuable life thing. We've got this beautiful house in southern Spain you've alluded to. We got it through a referral through someone on LinkedIn who knew we were looking to go to Spain. I found my Spanish lawyer, my Spanish English speaking mortgage broker within 24 hours from going out to my network on LinkedIn saying, "Who can you recommend?" There's so many different ways LinkedIn will serve you. So yeah, my first question would be, do you want to connect with them? If they got a lot of connections, I would. I mean, clearly, if there's someone you don't want to talk to or do business with, then you might not. But absolutely, why not? Yeah.
Esmeralda is talking to us and greetings, sending us greetings. Hello, Beata and Andy. A very interesting topic tonight. And Agata Bellon is asking, Andy, LinkedIn is always eager to sell its recruitment services. Do you think it is a good service from LinkedIn, and how best to improve job prospects on the platform? Thanks.
Great question, Agata. Be great if you guys asking questions, you just let me know where you're based, because it's great to see you online. Yeah, remember I said that while it wasn't what LinkedIn was set up to do, from day one, recruiters understood the power of being able to get to business owners saying, "Can we sell to you?" and being able to go and find candidates. And I said about 60% of its revenue is the job board, is LinkedIn jobs. Now, here's a couple of hacks, because I said I'm a business coach, and I said this is all about marketing, whether you're marketing yourself for employment or whatever it is. First of all, yes, I've seen less lately, but I used to get bombarded by recruitment agents. You just ignore them and accept their invite, because they've got a lot of connections I might be able to get to. But I don't need to answer their sales messages if I don't want to. I've even said to an MD once, if you really are overwhelmed with it, put in your headline on your profile, "Recruitment agents, please don't contact me. I have enough on my books." But as far as if you're looking for work, LinkedIn's job board is incredible. I remember I do some work for Birmingham City Council in the UK. It's the biggest council in the whole of Europe. And I was talking to the HR manager, and he said, "Oh no, we don't use LinkedIn. We use a recruitment agent." And I was online, and I said, "Yes, you do. It's so and so." He said, "How do you know that?" I said, "Because they've advertised your vacancy on LinkedIn." So they're using it, and you're paying them to do that. And I've coached people to find jobs. Think about it this way. Yes, you can go find the job, search by jobs. There's an inordinate amount of them. But get clever. If you're trying to find a job, you've got to stand out and sell yourself in the same way you've got to stand out and sell LinkedIn services or widgets. So why not find the job poster, go apply on the job thing, but why not go connect with them separately as well and say, hey, I've just seen your job, I've applied, or I've done whatever. I'm interested in understanding what you might be looking at it for in a candidate. Remember, I've said this is not about me, it's about what value I can give. How many people have ever come to you looking for a job saying, who's your ideal employee? Because I want to tell you how I meet that. So you can find ways around. This is about getting marketing savvy. But yeah, if you're looking for work, go look on LinkedIn's job board. And if you're looking to recruit, I've had clients that their sole recruitment. I've got a guy who's a property developer, real estate developer in the UK. He found his project managers. He's found people just through LinkedIn. He hasn't gone anywhere else. He's put the job on LinkedIn. He's gone and searched for people and approached them directly. It's powerful, definitely. I've lost your sound, babe, Barter.
Because we had just a second ago, I had a crazy guy in the car playing some funky music. We do not want to talk about music today because we are talking about how to highlight and stand out with your LinkedIn profile. 49 million people use LinkedIn to search for jobs each week. And as many as 81% of talent professionals say that virtual recruiting will continue long after the pandemic. 6 people are hired through LinkedIn every minute. If that last LinkedIn stat didn't convince you, it's worth having a solid presence on this network. This one should. Any company planning to hire new employees in 2022 needs a polished LinkedIn page to help attract top-tier talent and leverage the channel to recruit candidates. So apart from that, we cannot oversight the fact that we can do our branding, employer branding on LinkedIn. I noticed that we have more comments coming. We have got our lovely guest today, Andy. He's talking about LinkedIn exposure, and we have got my husband, IP of it, in Patrick's opinion, is tuning in. Very interesting session, Andy. Thank you. You mentioned connecting to anybody who invites you, but isn't there a fraud issue here? You are linked to scammers at all?
Oh, I've not experienced it. My reason, and hey, it is about defining. I said LinkedIn is about your profile and then your strategy, and it is about getting clear on your own strategy that serves you best. My caveat, based on some of the previous questions, would be make sure you're not cutting off your nose or missing opportunities. Patrick, I love the IPO thing. I've never experienced it, and so I am 6 years into automating it every day. The more connections you have, the more people you ask to invite you. I don't think I've ever been scammed. I did get one client once said they'd been violently threatened, but it was from an ex-relationship, and LinkedIn are pretty good and hot, and they got that person's profile shut down. By the way, something else, LinkedIn don't like you having more than one profile. I know people out there that have got dozens of profiles and are trying to work the system. I actually think if you just work within their guidelines, I know I'm automating, they don't like that. But the way I look at this is LinkedIn is a powerful tool for finding and connecting with people, but you cannot do it all on your own. The amount of things you can do with it takes me off a little bit from your question. I've not got any experience or know of anybody, and I've had dozens of clients where we've been delivering for years, day in, day out. I've not had anybody where there's been a fraud issue. I'm not sure what you mean by fraud, and you are linked to scammers. Unless you're talking about your data and people being able to access it, I don't know. I'm not that technically minded. I've not heard of anything. Might be worth Googling it. And I don't say this to be arrogant. I had somebody say something once and I said, Google it. And they said, you're supposed to be good. Why are you referring to it? I said, well, there's so much. And LinkedIn, by the way, they change things daily, weekly, monthly. I have a love-hate relationship with them. A, they're hypocritical at a level. B, they constantly change things, and you go, why on earth? If that winds you up, then you'll go mad. My view is, it is what it is. They're huge. Get over it, get around it. Let's work it to serve us. Their help center's good, but Google's even better, because there's thousands of LinkedIn people and social media people that look at things in different ways. I'd have a look into it, but I've not come across anything. So personally, I'm not worried. I will just connect with people who ask to connect with me.
So actually, Patrick is clarifying his question. As a financier, it is an issue. Network integrity, due diligence, risk, and thus being associated with scammers as a first connections makes my network look dodgy. That's my worry. Thanks, Andy.
Okay, it's an interesting one, because I do a lot of work with people in the financial industry. I've spoken at FIFA, the Federation of European IFAs conference, a number of times as the only non-industry speaker. I understand, certainly in the UK, FCA regulations, and work with mortgage brokers and IFAs. I don't know. My question back to you, Patrick, would be, how do you know that you're associated with scammers? Because if I looked at your profile, how would I know if you're connected with a scammer? And I'm not hearing things about it. So I think I also don't know how many people really drill into your network. I have businesses say we're worried about our competition. Really, I think I'd rather focus my energy on getting better and marketing better. So I don't know. My question back would be, if someone looks at your connections, if I were to look at you, how would I know you're associated with a scammer?
I had a moment in my career, and I guess this is what Patrick is referring to, is when some people would ask me, do you know this person because this person is dodgy or is not trustworthy, or how do you know this person? And there was this moment of silence, because quite often I don't remember meeting them personally. They might have contacted me by digging into what I do and pretending they are part of the network, or they've attended some event that I've been to and I talked about on it publicly. So that could be probably one of the things that could be of concern for us.
It's a good point, because sort of relative to that, what I often get asked is, well, I used to see this in networking clubs in the UK. I used to do a lot of networking, and I get people say, I only refer people that I know. And I say, well, look, I know 5 web designers. I don't know them all very, very well, but my strategy for referring people to you would be, here's some web designers I know, here's their phone number if you like. By all means, mention my name, but I don't know how good they are. I haven't personally bought from them, or I haven't bought from them for a long time. It's up to you to do your due diligence, but here's a referral of a contact. And that's the way I look at LinkedIn. And you're right, because I actually saw a competitor of mine running an event, and I have done some looking around who's signing up for my competitors' events, webinars. And there was a guy there who I knew was unethical. He'd actually gone bust in one business, and he'd taken me for some money. And I mentioned to this guy, I said, hey, I see this person is registered for your event. If you want to chat through it, I'm happy to, but just wanted to say to you, I've had some bad experiences based on his values. I never heard back from my competitor, whether he thought I was trying to do it maliciously. So, if someone says to me, hey, you're connected to this guy, how well do you know him? Because I think he's a bit dodgy, or I'm trying to check him out. I'd just say, well, I don't actually know him. We're connected, but I've not had any engagement with him. It's in the same way I used to speak at a lot of property events. I used to do 3 or 4, 5 speaking events in the UK every month. I did that for a number of years. So I've just had a guy contact me. He said, I was the mortgage broker at an event you spoke at 8 years ago. I went, wow, I now want to do business with you. I don't remember him. I don't know him. If someone had said, what do you know about this guy? You're in the same network group. I go, I don't know, but we're connected on LinkedIn. I view it as the same as, I've got 20,000 people in our email database we've built up over 20 years. They've subscribed or they've contacted us. I don't know them. So I view it like that. And yeah, you've got to be careful of your reputation, of course. And I think actually that's more about what I put out there. I've just seen someone in the property market quote a percentage return that they can give investors. Well, the FCA doesn't allow that. When I've worked with property investors and mortgage brokers, I've said, you tell me your guidelines around the FCA and let's position your profile and your activity to work within that. So yeah, clearly you've got some specifics there that you just want to get clear on. What's my strategy going to be to work that out?
Patrick is clarifying things like fake profiles. There are a lot of tells on profiles. Maybe a different thing for IFA as retail sellers than my institutional business. Yep, you got it right. Also, Beata, says Patrick. Thank you, Andy. Your ideas are great. For institutional finance, we may have to be a bit more careful than retail finance or other industries, indeed. And Marianne Madera is also tuning in and saying, thank you, Andy, for the many tips and tricks. Time to connect with more people. We are running short of time. We've got less than 15 minutes left. Andy, let me ask you, because I wanted to show also everyone a very interesting statistic. This is what it looks like. There are over 706 million LinkedIn members worldwide. Actually, the latest data, it's 830 million profiles on LinkedIn. We do not know how many of them are real, how many are duplicates, and how many are set up wrongfully, because I've seen many companies trying to connect with me, even though they were acting as a profile, not a company profile. Europe has the third most of any continent, with 160 million plus members after US. North America has the second most members at, thank you very much, Armenia, for trying to ticker these boxes. Here is the full screen. Let's look at the full numbers here. And 57% of members are male on LinkedIn. That's interesting because men significantly outnumber women on LinkedIn. 57%, as I mentioned, identify as men, with 43% identifying as women. Followed by over 35 million users, Bill Gates is the most followed person on LinkedIn. Andy, who do you follow and why? Who is your influencer on LinkedIn?
It's interesting because I don't actually follow many people. And the reason for that is there's so much content. I am busy. I literally get inbound people wanting to speak with me and engage with me every week. It's not quite every day, but pretty close. And I remember making a big distinction in my business. I think the overriding thing that we can get bogged down in statistics and what about fake profiles? Yeah, maybe your strategy is I'm going to choose who I accept the connection from. And if they look fake, I'm not going to. It's only because I automate mine that I've done that. And it's perfectly sound. And I think I remember a few years ago going, I'm now in a position where I have to pick up emails every day, LinkedIn messages, Facebook messages, WhatsApp messages. I've got a couple of other communication platforms. What the heck do I do? So I've just started to follow Tony Robbins again. We'll talk about him, I'm sure, in the last couple of minutes. I studied with him many years ago. It was because somebody had sent me some information. I'm very much into business. I want to say gurus, business coach, advice coaches. Tony Robbins for me is the world's best peak performance coach. But I don't follow many people just because I don't have the time to consume all that content and read it. It's the same in the way I don't join many groups. The reason we've got our Post-Party Club members group in Facebook is I was being told that there's more engagement with Facebook groups than LinkedIn groups. They're a bit behind, but I'm now hearing and I'm personally experiencing not lots of engagement within groups. So I think I follow a couple of the founders of LinkedIn because I do occasionally like to see what they're doing and what they're talking about. But I think the overriding thing to take from this is it's global and it's huge. So whatever your business or your outcome is, think about what's my strategy to go and engage with those people, because it is pretty much global. Yes, if there's a load of fake profiles and there's a load of duplicates and there's a load of stuff, I have an abundance of people I can get to. If I want a job in China doing X, I can find somebody on LinkedIn. I can my nephew can absolutely get to anybody in the world quickly. I'll give you one quick example of that. I was coaching a guy who was a musician, and he was on a bit of a downer. And I was on the phone to him. I said, "Who do you want to get to?" He said, "The head of A&R for Sony." I didn't know what A&R was. It stands for Artists and Repertoire. And while I'm on the phone to him, cradling the phone, I've said, the head of A&R for Sony Music, his name is such and such. He's based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, or whatever, Florida. And I've just sent him a connection invite. And my client went, I can't tell you exactly what he said. "How have you done that?" I said, "He's a third tier connection of mine." Now, he's got no photo. He's not going to accept my invite. He's probably not active on LinkedIn because he doesn't need to be. But the point I make is he has a profile on there, and I found him within 10 seconds of being on the phone. So the moment you think, I want to get to somebody, I don't care whether it's a referral, I don't care whether it's a doctor or a mortgage broker, or start to look around LinkedIn, because it's just unbelievable. It's believable. It's good enough to be true. And the challenge I hear is, well, they've been around. I had it the other day. Well, LinkedIn, it's been around 20 years. Is it any good? Oh, it's just more and more powerful than it's ever been. But this was a guy who was retired. He didn't need to look at it.
Absolutely. I want to also ask you about using hashtags. Does it make sense to use hashtag when you are creating a post on your personal profile?
Okay. I've mentioned the Post Party Club. The link you're going to put up to my Linktree link has got a bunch of links in there. There's a free ebook I said I put on Amazon. There's 2 free Facebook groups with a lot of resources. And within there is a site to my Post Party Club, which is all about posts and the algorithm we talked about. There's 3 sides to posts, I think. 1 is tapping in the algorithm to get views. 2 is writing good content that works. And the 3rd one is what I call the mechanics to get more views. One of those mechanics is hashtags. I had another LinkedIn specialist tell me he gets 30% more engagement when he puts in an emoji in his post. And I'm going, what the? But I believe human psychology, humans are bonkers. If human psychology dictates more people are going to look at my post because it's got an emoji, then put an emoji in, because I want people to look at my post. Same with hashtags. But if you're going to use hashtags, search the relevant ones, maybe have a library of about 11. You might have some big hashtag groups, some very niche ones, but only don't put any more than 3 in a post. I think the algorithm will squash it if there's more, but I think it looks crass from a view. It's this sales message again. When someone writes a post and then puts 20 hashtags in, same thing about tagging someone. Get clever. Tag someone who you're connected with, who's got a lot of connections. I had a client who got a global influencer who he knew, and he tagged him by saying, "I'm writing this post, blah, blah, blah. It was so-and-so at Andy Gwynn who first introduced me to this." That global influencer saw his post and shared it, and it went viral. So it's the same messaging. It's the same as connecting with people. Do it in the right way.
Well, I'm going to tag you tomorrow, Andy. You just wait for that.
Okay.
Now, let's go to our favorite questions. We are heading towards the end of the show. And I wanted to ask you, what is the number 1 book you can sit and think, oh, I wish I read it when I started my career?
My career. And I've probably sent you something across, and there's probably more than one. So depends what your career is. When I set my business up as a business coach, I read Michael Gerber's The E-Myth Revisited, which is subtitled Why Most Small Businesses Fail and What to Do About It. It's a Bible for how to structure and grow a business. That's the first one. I'm still applying and remembering stuff I read in Tony Robbins's Unleash the Power Within and Ultimate Power. There's 2 books there. That's about personal development, but you said business. So Michael Gerber's E-Myth Revisited is definitely one that every business owner should read. If you're looking to get into real estate, and you should, I got taught it's one of the easiest things to learn before investing in the markets. I have a very close friend who's just sold his property training business, a guy called Simon Zucchi, Zutshi, and his book is on Amazon, and it's called Property Magic. And it just simplifies how anybody can start to invest in real estate, property investing, regardless
You're
of their...
revealing our secret that we have in plans, Andy, because we have already planned to invite Andy again to talk about property. So let's hush about that, and let's focus on your favorite lesson, a life lesson quote, and how did it change you? Can you share with us how it was relevant to you?
Can you remember what I sent you about life lesson quote? I think there
Oh,
is...
I do.
I
Yes,
think the one...
you should work harder on yourself than you do on your job, Jim.
This
Rohn.
is the late, great Jim Rohn. And I was introduced to him when I set up my business. I was privileged enough to see him speak in the US in his 80s, just before he passed away. And I go goose pimply now because one of his quotes is, you should work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I believe this is all about personal development, emotional intelligence, EQ. Emotional intelligence has proven to be more impactful than IQ for personal success. The other quote he comes out with is, never wish life was easier, wish that you were better. And so it's about, whenever I had a challenge in my business, I couldn't blame the business or the market or the customers. I had to look within and go, what do I need to do to learn more, to get better, to get around this? And then so you've got to read Jim Rohn's stuff and listen to his videos and stuff. He was just a maestro of personal and business development. And then I think I gave you a quote that's one of my own, and I can't remember what it was.
Oh my goodness, we are running out of time. So let's go into another question, Andy, which is, imagine the pandemic is over and you can invite any person to breakfast in the world. Who would you love to have a private breakfast with, and which place would you choose?
Which place? It's got to be Tony Robbins. I was privileged enough to be one of his crew dark members twice at his big 10,000 people event way back in 2004. The guy is just, and I trained with his second in command around NLP and hypnotherapy and stuff. And he's like a mini Tony. And I guess it's either got to be on his island, which I can't remember where it is. It might be Bali. I'm going to go to Bali at some point because I've never been, and I've never met anyone who said they haven't loved it. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have got businesses based there. I'm going goose pimply again because I met him and shook his hand, and he's the only person I've ever looked in their eyes, and it was almost like looking down a tunnel, the depth. And the guy is just the best in the world and can cut through people's challenges, give people mental resources and strategies to help with improvement. I owe so much to a lot of what I've learned from him. I would love to sit down for breakfast with him. I'd pay for breakfast.
There you go. I hope it happens, Andy. Meanwhile,
Fiji.
I would absolutely. Fiji is a great place to be. Engage, enlighten, encourage, and especially just be yourself on LinkedIn. Social media is a community effort. Everyone is an asset, as Susan Cooper says. That's it from today's live stream. I would like to thank for our lovely commenters, Olga Vasina, In Love and in Pain, I Esmeralda, Agata Bellon, IPO in Patrick's Opinion, and Marianne Madera. Next week, we will be joined by Deborah, who is going to talk about how to deal with toxic cultures. Join us on Wednesday next week. And meanwhile, I wanted to remind you that if you do not like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude, as Maya Angelou says. That's it from episode 67 of PhD live stream with Andy Gwynn. To stay updated and ensure you never miss a positivity hack delivered for a woman on IT, and turn on notifications to be alerted once a video is updated. As always, our positivity quote comes from positive thinking only and goes, look for something positive in each day, even if some days you have to look harder. Today is your day to hack the future.